What's up, my beautiful people? Welcome back to See It Through My Eyes. I'm Richie. I'm flying solo today, back with another episode of Storytime with Richie. That's me. Today, what I want to talk about is a chapter of my life in my early 20s, as I've shared before. I'm sharing now. I'm 31 as of April of 2025. Not too sure when the video might be uploaded, but as of 2025, at least, I am 31. And I'll be touching on a chapter, like I said, of my life that was one of the most hardest parts of my life, but has also been one of the most impactful as well as important phases and journeys that I've gone through. And talking to people, getting to know people, I know that a lot of people all are either still in those phases or going through those struggles or can relate because they've also been there. So yeah, today's story time, and I want to get right into it. So with that being said, before please hit that subscribe button, hit that like, share, comment, and hope you guys appreciate and like this video. I have put my all into it. So with that being said, let's go. So on today's episode, what I want to discuss, um, in my early 20s as well as my late teens, one thing that I found myself doing a lot was trying to kind of like fill in an emptiness that I felt, whether that was with drugs, that was with toxic friendships, romantic relationships, or just doing stuff just to feel like I was doing something, especially when I got in my 20s, when I was in college, where I didn't really do some of these things, or even later on in my 20s, I started taking just random jobs just to feel like I was actually doing something and my life had meaning. Um, and like I mentioned in my relationships, I would put all my self worth into people, and subconsciously, honestly, I was looking for that validation in people. Um, and like a lot of prideful men or prideful people, I would always get defensive and beat my chest and tell everybody that I didn't need anybody and this and that. But the minute that I found myself alone, I would literally run to a new relationship, or I would start beating myself up, um, thinking that people didn't want to be my friends or people didn't love me because I wasn't worth it, or and just coming up with this whole list of reasons why in my mind I wasn't worthy of people's love or even loving myself, thinking that and believing that I needed other people, or that I needed a title, I needed a job, I needed something of substance in my life to feel like I was worthy and to feel that I was doing something and to feel that I was man enough to do that. And I know that even till this day, unfortunately, we have a lot of men. I'm a straight cisgender man, so that's the demographic I can only speak to. I can't really speak on anybody else's journey or perspective. So, as a straight male, I feel that society, a lot of the time, whether it's our families, our friend groups, school, media, whatever it is, puts a lot of that pressure onto us that we need to be a specific type of man in order to be considered a man. And I've had to go through that, but also come out and kind of reflect and learn that, and just kind of really like think about it for a second. How a lot of the time we as men, we say that, we're independent, we're, our own leaders, we're not followers and this and that. But then you see a lot of these guys who are out here beating their chests and, screaming at the rooftops that they're men, they're alpha males and this and other bullshit, but then they're following and supporting other men that are quote alpha males and that are these influencers that are telling them, right? Or even just on an ordinary day basis, where people like men in ordinary lives, it might be friends, it might be neighbors, it might be family members that are old school tradition and have weird warped mindsets of what it means to be a man and what it means to be not a man or not manly enough. And a lot of the time this gets pushed upon all of us, and it's basically the blueprint of what one male might be becoming the template of what all men should be kind of considered. And I'm completely against that, because if we don't hold that towards women or other genders or sexual orientations, then why should we do that for the men? Just like I've always argued against other people, whether it's females or other sexual orientations who try to demonize and minimize men and try to put us all and group us all into this one little box that we're all toxic men, or that we're all, they're basically trying to describe us and characterize us all with the same characteristics. And I've always argued against that because all of us are different. We're all, at the end of the day, we're all individuals. We're all human beings. So each one of us thinks different, perceives things differently, feels things differently, talks different, acts different, just lives their lives completely different. But a lot of the time, you have these insecure males who, quote unquote, are the alpha males of our species, who are trying to police other men and tell us how we should be as men. And that's where you get this toxic masculinity. And you also get women who have this warped mindset, like I mentioned earlier, and they try to categorize and generalize and put us all into the same box. And a lot of the time, with that type of generalization, what they do is basically the minute that a man fucks up, there is no redeeming. And I've done my share of up throughout my life, especially in my younger years. But what person, regardless of gender, ethnicity, race, age, hasn't? We all go through that. And I think, especially nowadays, that I'm seeing a little bit more positive masculinity talk and a little bit more empowerment in our gender. I think it should be more expressed, that's very important for us to acknowledge when we have done wrong, admit whether it was because that's what we were taught or that's what we were programmed to believe what it means to be a man. We have to go back and look and acknowledge when we have made mistakes and take responsibility as a man should, just as a human being should, as an adult human being should take responsibility for the consequences, and not make any type of excuses. Like I mentioned, I am against people who are trying to basically hold men to a standard of you up and that's it. You're a lost cause. And a lot of the time, men also believe that. Another problem also that I've seen is also men who are sadly falling for this social media influence. And I'm not just talking about these mothers out here trying to tell you that alpha male does this and beyond that. That's all, that's the other part. But another thing is believing that all women are the same. You see these toxic feminists online who are pushing not feminism, but to put down the gender of men and to hold us down and trying to quote unquote turn the tables instead of empowering women to basically devalue everything that men do. And instead of giving us that whether it's the benefit of the doubt or that room for improvement, just completely giving up on us. And a lot of men are sadly believing that that's how all females are, or that's how all females think. It's a very small, loud minority within the female gender. And a lot of time you mostly find these people online, just like you do with these, guys who spew out like this toxic masculinity. Now you do see these people in real life, but in my opinion, the ordinary person isn't going around, screaming at the top of their lungs that men do this and women do that. Like we're all just trying to live our lives. We're all going for the same thing, which is just to be loved, to be valued, to be respected, to be validated of who we are. And we're trying to find out who we are. And unfortunately, you got these influencers on both sides who are misleading both men and women. And I just want to be somebody that has gone through that. And I'm trying to find my own stepping without having to follow anybody else. Because in my opinion, a true man or a true woman, but today we're speaking about men, a true man leads themselves. Isn't right there following other people, but then at the same time trying to say that they're alpha males. Because an alpha male doesn't follow a quote unquote other alpha male, nor an alpha male needs other quote unquote alpha males to follow them. We follow our own paths. We make our own decisions. We're independent thinkers. We speak our own minds. We're not easily triggered or easily manipulated by whether it's females or other men. And that's something that I hope a lot of more men start seeing, especially, if you find yourself in those paths. If you think, if you that one of these sides is right, then to each his own. But I'm speaking to the ones who actually want to think outside the box and not check off as one of these statistics on either side of the spectrum. Men who just want to be themselves, who don't want to feel shame for having feelings, but at the same time for being masculine. As long as you're not hurting anybody, I another thing that I have seen a lot, like I said, men who are focusing so much on these toxic, loud feminists online, spewing this man hate. Guys, if those are the women you don't want, then don't worry about them. Don't with them. Don't give them any type of attention. Don't give them any type of energy. Focus on yourself. Believe me, I've been around the block my 31 years. I've dated a lot of women, is all I'm going to say. I've met a lot of different types of women, some shitty people, some good people, some people that I was shitty to, and some people that I should have been shitty to, but were shitty to me. But anyways, and I've met people of all types of women of all type of personalities, different genders, Jesus, different ethnicities, different personalities. I'm straight. Different religions, just different personalities is what I'm trying to get at. So don't believe this bullshit that they're trying to press us to divide us and keep us distracted. That men, it's men versus women or alpha males versus beta males and all this other bullshit. Because it's all lies and they just want to mislead us. They want to basically take advantage of us and they want your money at the end of the day also. And you have to be your own man. So that's my little spiel about it. Not putting your self-worth into other people. Another and final thought that I also, in my 20s, like I said, I would also go to a lot of relationships. And as I gotten older, I have been able to work on myself. I've been able to heal a lot of past wounds. I've been able to also see how my own mindset and perception of love or intimacy of, what it means to be a man and my views on women, how it was so warped and distorted. And I've had to work very hard on it over years to become a different version of myself. And I could tell you that not every day is easy, but I'm happier than where I was before. I've also been able to find my spirituality, which has helped me a lot. And one thing that I've learned is that nobody else is responsible for whatever's going on within you because everybody has their own shit going on. And you can't make that obligation to anybody else to fulfill you, to bring worth or validation to you. You have to do that yourself. I've said this before and I'll say it again. The minute that you give that type of control to somebody else, you give them that control over who you are. And the minute that they leave, then that will mean that you'll need somebody to be right there to make you feel happy, to make you feel worthy. And that's not a good way to live. So, guys, wake up, see what you're believing, what you're thinking, what you were programmed to believe since you were little, what you were fed as men, and women too. What you guys have been fed since we were little, whether it was through media, whether it was through tradition, whether it was through our families, whatever cycle we followed, you have to break it at the end of the day for yourself. And of course, for if you have kids or anybody, that you might leave your legacy to, that, in order to be able to be happy, in order to be able to feel fulfilled, to feel committed and accomplished in life, my advice, just live to the fullest. Enjoy your life to the fullest. Don't let anybody tell you how you should or shouldn't be. As you get older, you stop giving a so much about what other people think of you, and you start seeing the bullshit for what it is. Some people choose to stay in that black and white vision, but I hope more people start waking up and seeing the true colors of life, that it's not that black and white. And more, I hope more people that are listening, this touches them and helps you guys to in your journeys, whatever it is. I hope you guys find whatever you're looking for. I hope you guys are able to be happy, or hope you guys are able to heal. Because a lot of the times it's trauma, it's pain, it's wounds from our past that we need to eventually deal with. And we can't continue to cover them up or suppress them or pretend like they're not there. Or worse, lash out and blame other people. Because, like I mentioned before, if we've been traumatized and hurt in our past, especially in our childhood, we weren't responsible for that happening to us. But at some point, we can't continue to blame other people, especially as an adult. You have to take that responsibility yourself, and you have to be responsible for your own happiness. So, with that being said, guys, that was my little ramble. Hope this is helpful for somebody out there. Just know that you're loved, know that you're worthy, know that you're not alone. There's people out here who are also feeling lost, if that's how you're feeling alone, feeling empty. But the one thing you shouldn't do is depend on other people, is to attach your self-worth to anybody else. You are worthy. You don't need a title, you don't need a job, you don't need to be told, you don't need a female or man, nothing to make you worthy. You're worthy just for being here, and that's it. So, hope you guys are taking care. Please join us in the next episode. This is Storytime with Richie. I'm Richie. Please subscribe, hit that like, share, comment if you like, keep it respectful, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.